Good morning, challengers. Good morning. Nice to see all of you, a lively group. Glad to have everyone this morning. This is a good morning. We're kind of out of our usual routines this morning, but it's a good time for us to think about our future as a class. We appreciate all of you for being here. We do have some announcements that we need to make this morning before we start. We received some news yesterday about Catherine Wheeler, Catherine and Bob. And Catherine had some kind of an episode, we're not real sure, and Bob found her on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. And he could not get her up. She could not talk and could not walk and so forth. So they took her to St. John's, Ascension, St. John's, did some imaging, etc., and it was determined that she's been having small strokes. I assume that's like TIAs, Bob, or something like that. I don't know, but small strokes. Susan and Bob wanted the hospital to keep her and admit her, but they said they were understaffed right now, and she just couldn't get the care that she needed, and they asked them, to care for her at home till they could find a facility for her. So their son David from Dallas came in town Tuesday. This happened a week ago Friday. So came in town Tuesday, and he's with Susan and Bob and helping them, and they're looking for a facility, to get care for Catherine. So we need to remember them in our prayers a lot right now, and Bob's got his family with him, his 2 children at least. I don't know if the third one's there, but the 2 are there to help him with that. So we do want to pray for the Wheelers right now. It's a difficult time. We also, of course, you all read it, I'm sure, in our newsletter, but we want to remember also Mary McGee, and she's looking for more care and more definition as to what type of cancer she has, etc. I talked with Mary. I've talked with her quite a bit. I talked with Mary. She's lost 15 pounds, and Mary's a tiny one. She's tiny. So, and she is in a lot of discomfort, a lot of fatigue, so we want to remember her. And again, they're looking for a treatment plan and a good doctor to treat where she is now and diagnose where the cancer actually is. So we want to remember them. Tom Jones is got some good news. He's going to have more surgery, but he's doing well with his treatment at MD Anderson, so they're not having surgery till after the first of the year. And that's also a cancer surgery. So we want to remember all of these in our individual prayers and our class prayers. It's not easy, huh? It's not easy. Let's go to God in prayer first of all, and then we have some more announcements before we get started. Bow with me, please. Loving God, we thank you for this time we have together this morning to be together, to share fellowship, to make plans for our future as a class, and to ask you to be with those we love and care for that need our prayers. We thank you so much for this class. We thank you for each other. The time we have together enriches our lives, and we are so grateful. Be with us as we work together this morning. Help us to support each other and to love each other as we look to the future. As followers of Christ, we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay. We are going to have, as everyone knows, a Christmas party at the Summit on December 9th, and Mike Moore would like to say a word about that.
Following the medical report with the Christmas party is not very big. I don't know if it occurred to me that some people here have not been to the summit recently and maybe haven't signed up for the party. They've remodeled, it's gorgeous. The summit always goes crazy at Christmas with decorations and lights, and where we're going to be on the 30th floor is maybe the best view of Tulsa in the city. So there's a couple of real good things. One of the nice things is the parking's in the Bank of America building, so your distance from your car to the elevator is about 50 feet. And so you don't have to try to park it downtown like you try to go downtown and do it lately. It's a real pain. So the other thing that I'm just fired up about is the fact that the party lasts 2 hours and is over at 7 So, for everyone who's thinking about it, hasn't made the mind up, I highly recommend it. It's the one chance for a lot of the ladies to get dressed up for the year. And it's gonna be a-
One chance. Thank you, Mike. And I think today is today the last day for reservations, Tammy? No. Oh, one more week? Okay. Okie doke. So just bring your check, that's your reservation, and I believe it's $40 per person? Yeah. Okay, we also are gonna have a longtime tradition challengers have had, and that is a Christmas breakfast. And that's on Sunday, December the 19th, the Sunday before Christmas. And this started years ago at the Southard's home. They lived real close to the church here, and we would all go there for breakfast during our Sunday school hour and then come to worship. Then we moved it over here in our classroom because our class was growing. Of course, we didn't get to have it during 2020 because of COVID, but we can do it this year. So we're going to have the Christmas breakfast, and that menu is breakfast casserole, fruit, and Carol's pull-apart bread recipe. So if you'll sign up, and this is all class volunteer to bring something, and you'll be given a recipe if you do egg casserole and the recipe if you do the pull-apart bread. So we'd love to have everybody participate. It's a really fun, nice social time to be together. I'll start that one on this side. How's that? Well, it'll be right here in this building, in this room. Yeah. We'll have tables set up and everything and buffet at the back. I'm sorry? Oh, gosh, yes. Here you go. Uh-huh. Okay, so that being said, we have some good social times to look forward to, and hope we can all participate and attend. Okay, today we are going to review our survey that we did a couple of weeks ago. Thank you all for your participation. That was a really high-energy day. The tables were very active, and it was really nice to see everybody had that kind of energy and excitement for the class. As we look to the new year, want to review just a couple of things with you. As we all know, we went into lockdown. I looked up the date in Tulsa, I think it was March 20th of 2020 when we went into lockdown. Of course, we didn't have church. We didn't come back together as a class until June 6th was our first Sunday. Nancy Pittman presented a lesson for us on luminality. That was on Sunday, June 6th of this year. So we were actually gone, not together, 15 months. The leadership group, I should say, 8 members of the Challenger leadership team, worked really hard to do phone trees, to try to keep news going out, to try to keep us connected. And because of that, we didn't have a transition in our leadership team in 2020 like we normally would, because it was a time we felt it was just stay together, try to keep things going. So we came back together in June 6th, so we've only been back together about 5.5 months, really. And I'm really pleased to see everything that's going on in here, and I hope you are too. We're seeing more attendance, participation. We're kind of getting back to what may feel normal, the new normal, I guess. And it's a good time for this survey for us to reflect and kind of look ahead. But I'm really happy we're all back together, the fellowship, the friendship, everything that's going on. And of course, we had a nice party at the Soders in the backyard. And I think there were 70 reservations or maybe a couple more than that. And everybody seemed to really enjoy being together and having a good time. So I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little happier about my Sundays. So I hope you are too. During this time, it's been difficult at the beginning. It's getting easier, but it was difficult in the beginning to get speakers because some speakers were cautious about coming to a group situation, and others had family members that they didn't want to be out and exposing them to anything that they might get. So it's been a kind of a ragtag time to make plans together. But I hope you feel like it's smoothing out, and I hope you're enjoying the class, because the leadership team has spent a number of hours in meetings and meetings trying to do all that. So I hope you're enjoying it, and we will talk about all that this morning. As we discuss all this, we're going to have some visuals, and we discuss all this morning, if you have a comment or a question, there's time for that, I think. So that's fine. We don't have time maybe for individual presentations. It's just too long. It would take us too long for each table. But feel free to participate and feel free to make comments or ask questions. So let's start first of all with our speakers. We asked for some suggestions, and these are the names that were popped. Oops, nope, don't have that yet, do I? These names came up on the survey. By the way, we had 14 survey sheets. There was one from each table. Sometimes there was a second one from a table. So this is the survey and the names and so forth that were recommended to be suggested speakers. You see Ted Robertson. I've never heard him speak, but his name did come up several times, so he must be an interesting speaker. Coach Bill Blankenship was one. If you've been following the football season, you know he and his son Josh are back and forth with their football teams. That's kind of an interesting family relationship. Tulsa Police Chief Wendell Franklin. Hank and I and some of the other people in this class attended the Afghan dinner Tuesday, the 9th of November, so not this last Tuesday, but the one before. There were approximately 50 people from Harvard Avenue, 50 people from the police department and the cadets from the academy that were going to graduate in December. And then 50 Afghan families, 50 total people of Afghan families. It was a good interface together, and Hank and I both commented we were very impressed with Police Chief Franklin. He's not a big ego guy. You know, sometimes people in those positions can be pretty big egos. And he seems very, very down to earth. And he did jump from major to chief, which is a jump over deputy chief. I had to learn. Hank's helped me with this. But yeah, a police chief, deputy chief, and then major. And one of my good friends, her husband was a major at the same time as Chief Franklin. And she says he's the real deal. What you see is what you get. He's just a really nice guy, smart guy, unassuming, that kind of thing. So he was recommended as a speaker, and that sounded interesting, I thought. Hack staff, that obviously is on our list. And of course, you know, Courtney is going to be going to St. Louis and with her new life, and we certainly wish her well with that. And there will be some shifts in staff somewhere along the line. I'm not privy to any of that. I don't even know that that's even thought about or any decisions made. But we will continue to stay in contact, obviously, with David and Kevin and the Hack staff, and continue to ask for updates as our church moves forward, because this is an important group in the church, and we'll want to know what's going on. They'll want us to know what's going on and share that. I will say that the most complicated issue for this class has been the change of times of the services. And about every sheet that came in on that change of times, not good, you know, whatever. So anyway, that's something we're going to continue to review. There were several suggestions on that survey that said, let's start class at 9:30, have 45 minutes, get out at 10:15, and go to worship at 10:30. That was the predominant one this class wanted. I'm not saying that'll happen, but we'll continue to communicate with David and see how that goes. It has affected our class somewhat in a few members that cannot get here by 9 o'clock due to medical reasons, and not because they want to sleep in, but for a real legitimate medical reason. And then also there have been some who said that 30 minutes in between, they can't stand for 30 minutes. It's too long, it's too tiring, it's a long morning, etc. David's aware of all that. It has clearly been communicated from this class. So we'll continue to have staff come in and talk about that, talk about our church, talk about the vision team plans. There's been a vision team working for several months now, and we will want to follow up on that. And they're also, excuse me, There also will be a consulting firm come in and do some work here in our church, and that'll be interesting, and we'll get some information on that as well. So look for HAC staff to be in here in our Sunday mornings to share with us in the next few months. The members of our class, am I past that point? Let's see. No, I am. Okay, members of our class. There were several suggestions. People really like the seminary professors, and they like them as speakers, but they also would like to hear more from members of our class. And as you know, we all miss Oliver. He used to do a great job for us, and we could always count on him. You could call him at the 11th hour, and he could save your bacon. He was good. He was great. But we have members of our class who can participate. I have had 2 people sign up to do that since we did this survey, and we'll look forward to having more of that. So if you feel like you can prepare a lesson that everyone would enjoy, obviously the education team's interested in that. So that will be something we'll look forward to. The seminary professors, the class likes the speakers, the quality, they like also, the only thing is balance. And maybe interjecting speakers, not as much of the seminary speakers as before, but to have individuals speak and or other speakers from the city, that sort of thing. And I think the education team can ease into that easier or better now. We leaned heavily on those seminary speakers this year, as you know, on the calendar. And the reason was because it was difficult to kind of reach out and get people in the community. So we definitely will take that into account. I think we all do enjoy the seminary speakers, but we won't have as many of them in the future, I don't think, as we have in the past. That's what you're asking for. So the comments more or less have said that. But there was a lot of praise that the challengers love all the speakers. They're happy to have all the speakers. There wasn't any criticism of really speakers per se. They like the variety, and they think the quality of the speakers is good. So while we reviewed that section, anybody have any comments on that? Becky?
Yes, I just was going to say a couple of suggestions our table had.
Uh-huh.
Probably didn't put on our paper there. And one was goes along with your Afghan.
Uh-huh.
We thought that it would be interesting to have somebody from Catholic Charities come and talk to us about the Afghan experience and how they managed to get so many Afghans here and just that whole thing. I think you would want to have Afghan people here that they're pretty much overwhelmed right now, plus all the other issues with them. We thought that would be a meaningful thing, or any kind of immigrant experience in the United States.
Okay, good.
Okay. The other one we have, this is just goes along with the ministers, and I was thinking, and they thought, that the Ask the Minister Day, like with David Emery, we all know stories about David, we all have conversations with him, but I'd like to know, and our table would like to know, how did he come into the ministry, what's his personal story? And I know some of these kind of quirky things, because we have them in common, but I think it'd be interesting for us all to know the whole story, and at the same time, have an Ask the Minister kind of thing, where we can ask any questions, personal questions, not your questions, but questions, maybe we don't know.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Can you summarize?
She couldn't hear her. Yeah. Basically what she was saying was Catholic Charities would be a good speaker from Catholic Charities. And I don't know if you saw in the news this week, but there was lots of compliments about what's going on here in Tulsa in the newspaper this last from the federal government. Yes. And they were complimenting, said they'd like to duplicate. Kind of reminded me of challengers here in the church. David keeps saying, I want to duplicate challengers. And, it's kind of duplicating what's going on in Tulsa with resettling. That Tulsa's doing a really good job with that. And of course, Catholic Charities does head that up. So a good speaker from Catholic Charities is what she said. Next was also the one where asked the ministers know more about David's personal life, how he got into ministry and that sort of thing. So, yes, Linda.
Tulsa Metropolitan Ministries are the ones, Aaliyah is their director.
Right.
And she was in charge, she was the one that put together the event here at Harvard Avenue for the Afghans. And TMM has been doing a lot to assist all we just haven't gotten the publicity that
Catholic Charities has, yeah.
So she'd be an excellent person to bring.
Some information in. Okay, we'll put that on the list. Okay, let's go on to topics. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Treva.
Someone at my table suggested having somebody from some of the churches, like the Transformation Church, Outreach Church, or something like that, just because we don't know exactly what they're all about. I mean, there's so many people.
Yeah, I don't know his story. I actually missed it on the news. It was on the news this last week. I forget it was CBS, Channel 6. No, 2. I think it was Channel 2. But I missed it both times. I'll find it and stream it. We'll look at it. But that's an amazing transition that's gone on in that church. You know, how many. And basically, all the growth, no, all is the wrong word. A lot of the growth has come from social media. All around the world, he has members, and it's all virtual. It's all virtual. So this is a new thing, a new era for businesses, for churches. It's just a new era of how things are going to happen, it looks like. But yes, I don't know if we could get him, but I know we could probably get somebody. And I've been doing some reading and research on Life Church because that fascinates me, because that's actually our number one competition with our young families is Life Church. And they, since 1997, they have put in 33 locations. 33 locations, and the doors open the first Sunday, it's every bit paid for. All the facilities are paid. No mortgages, no loans, nothing. And that's, I don't know about younger members of your family, nieces, nephews, younger families, you know, neighborhoods. Life Church is about the first word you hear out of them when you ask where they're going to church. It's very. So anyway, some of the history of some of those, some of the perspective of those. Transformation Church is another one. If we can get speakers, would be interesting for sure. Okay, let's go on to topics. Look at the top of the list. What was number 1? And I will say this: there were several mentions on there about Bob Lynch's presentation on Alzheimer's. That was well received, and people liked that, and more speakers like Bob about medical issues and aging. That was part of it. Bob, yes.
Kathy, I have been asked by Mike Parlish if he's not giving more talks.
I should have guessed. Oh, that's funny. Well, here we go. It's medical issues and aging and current Tulsa social issues that churches face, such as homelessness, Afghan relocation, Tulsa race massacre, all the issues locally that are in the news. Biblical topics, which of course seminary speakers usually address those in that way, but we could have other speakers. Women of the Bible. Lisa Davison has a good series we've had a long time ago. We might ask her to step back into that. Personal testimonials. Frank Fisher called. He couldn't be here this morning because of the Route 66 marathon. He could get out of his neighborhood, but he couldn't get home because it's blocked because of the running. But he said his previous church, they had a series, and it wasn't every week, maybe one a month or something, and it was titled Autobiography of Grace. And he talked about that, and we have several suggestions in here, these personal testimonials about wanting to know members of our class, their story, their faith journey, etc. So there's some interesting things that could happen with that for sure. Other religions, we have had some of those in the past, and it's always good to learn a little bit about Buddhism or other religions, etc.
Can I say something?
Uh-huh.
The church I went to had a Muslim person, a Jewish, Catholic, and one other, and they did it as a panel. We asked them questions, they talked to us, and at the end we came to one conclusion that we all had in common: love. And it was very interesting. They were very open and telling us, the differences. And I thought that was fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating. We've done that in the past, but it hasn't been a good while. I think happened since we pursued all that. And again, we're trying to get our feedback on the ground after being kind of discombobulated, but some of those would be real good.
Advance the computer.
I'm sorry? Oh, advance, oh, thank you. Sorry, I get wound up and forget to look. Thank you. Legal issues, that was mentioned several times in the past. We've had some of those presentations, but maybe time again. Trust, wills, evidently there's some changes in the law about advance directives. Powers of attorney, so that would be something that was requested, everybody wanting to know and be sure they've got their house in order, and that was one of those. These were interesting. Protecting seniors from scams, the do not call registry. Those are things that there was some interest in the class. We'd have to research to find someone to speak about that, but those are interesting. Funerals and pre-planning. Volunteer opportunities. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a minute, but there was a lot of people saying, I want to volunteer, but I don't know where, when, that sort of thing. State of religion in America. Am I out of this?
Yeah.
Okay. And Christian living, diversity, and trying to think of her name real quick. Amy Venables. She's going to be speaking to us in late December, early January. I think it's early January, about diversity. So that will be good. Hospice, and also biblical stories as it relates to current events or issues. That's an interesting topic for someone to pick up and develop and take some time to present. So those were all areas. Just to let you all know, we take up dues once a year in this class, $50 per person, and we will be doing that in January again this year. We did not do it in 2020. And these speakers are paid $100 when they are not a member of our church. If you're a member of our class or our church, it's a goodwill offering. But we pay $100, and we also pay to seminary speakers, any of the speakers that come from organizations and nonprofits. So the primary use of our funds is to keep this class going and have good quality speakers. So we do reimburse the speakers some. Not a lot, but still to say thank you. Okay, so speaker, topic-wise, we've covered the gamut of everything that was on your questionnaire or on the survey. Any comments? Patty?
Yes, I recently heard the sheriff, Tulsa County Sheriff speak at a ladies' Republican group. And it was probably the most informative speaker I have heard from in a long time. He was telling us things that I had no idea about the Tulsa area, about the county area, everything. And I was like shocked. And I didn't think the poor man was ever going to get to leave because he was just inundated with lots of questions afterwards. So I think he would be a very good speaker as well.
Okay, thank you. We'll put him on the list too. Okay, let's go on to comments. Challengers enjoy the variety and quality of the speakers. Jackson? Oh, yeah. Okay. This was interesting. Need more nonprofits, need less nonprofits. This is the challengers. So here's what we have done in the past, and as we get back on schedule, hopefully we can continue to do that. But we do have some nonprofits come in. We tried to set a schedule of about one a quarter, which is one every 3 months. Because when you figure out our calendar for the year and everything, we really don't have 52 weeks because we have some Sundays where we take off, etc. because of holiday weekends and so forth. But one a quarter gives us a chance, and we try not to repeat one. So if, someone from TMN comes in or some other organization, then we try not to repeat it, of course. So once a quarter we try to do that, and again, we donate to the speaker for their organization. We're going to talk about volunteering and that kind of stuff here in just a minute. So, okay, and the other thing was no politics and no political issues. That was real strong in the survey, that people don't want to come to Sunday school to talk about politics. So, Mike?
Well, it occurs to me that a lot of things that didn't formerly were not political have become political. I mean, environmental issues or something political.
Right.
Immigration, the policy is political.
Right.
So this would strongly limited any kind of discussion just because everything that wasn't political is now political. So,
It's a fine line, I totally agree with you, it's a very fine line. I wrestle with this because I know there's some people in here who think we should be able to come to this class and we should be able to talk about political issues. I've had an experience in this class when a couple of times when we talked about it, it hasn't gone over real well. And it's divisive, it is. Everybody goes out generally with their own opinion and their own feelings, and rarely, I would guess, it's changed if you're to be really candid. So I think this is something that we've got to walk on eggshells maybe a little bit for a while. Now, if there's some small groups that want to get together and talk about some of these issues, I think that would work. If some people say, you know, I'd like to get together a group of 6 or 8, whoever, however many, and let's research and talk about immigration. That would work. But maybe for right now, we don't want to do a full class presentation until we kind of see how the waters go and we all kind of can take a deep breath and still love each other. Okay.
Sounds like marriage.
Very similar. Ron said it sounds like marriage in case you didn't hear it. Oh boy, party suggestions.
Birthday party.
One birthday party a year, that came up several times. The bonfire at the Casey's was really popular. Here's Linda involved, they're here, yes. That was very popular. Someone suggested a lake party, but we have to have a destination of where to go. We've done that in the past at the Vanderslice, up there. So that was a suggestion. Memorial Day backyard party, and it said Joanne. So I put it on the list. Is that the Joanne I know?
I don't think so.
Well, someone nominated you for a backyard party. The Soders backyard party, which everybody was a great hit. Thank you, Soders, once again. Yes, but
Our table talks a little bit about a St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day, okay, well, that could be fun. St. Patrick's
You
Day.
guys volunteering?
Take it under advisement.
And again, the Soder's backyard party, that was great, casual, nice, everybody had a good time. I think it was so, I just love standing back in the yard for a minute, looking back, and everybody was just enjoying being together. It was just really full of joy. The Briggs 4th of July party, thank you, Janet and Raymond, they've done that for 100 years. I appreciate it for that.
I'll volunteer my birthday.
Yeah. You have to tell us how old you are, though.
Just and my sizes.
Wednesday night potluck dinners were suggested, and we can use the FLC if we want to do some things like that, but we also have these potluck dinners in people's backyards in like the spring before hot summer, early summer. We used to do that. The dining room dinners for 8, those were, well, they were on the list a lot. And we plan to do that in January, and the leadership team will be putting together the groups, of people to go and host. So have that in your mind, and we'll start promoting that first part of January. But that was really popular. One of the things that was mentioned, and I may not have it on down in the comments, but one of the things that was mentioned was the fact people like smaller and casual events so we get to know each other better. When you're a big party, it's not as personal as it is sitting around a table for 8 or whatever. So we could do those several times a year, and that would certainly be something that would help us that way. Tell me that's when I need to flip because I can't see it. Game night or day, and that was one that was suggested, and a reveal party. Each person submitted an unknown fact about themselves, and then everybody has to guess who it is. Well, I think the suggestion Yes,
I have a comment about that.
yes.
I wanted to get my neighbors put together one time, and that's exactly what I did. And they came in and they were all just like, I don't know who you are, they didn't really care, they were talking, and I said, okay, this is not gonna be a fun night for you, but from now on, 3 things, don't touch each other. It started raining and they would not go home. They'd had so much fun and learning about it.
Yeah.
I said, it's raining, it's okay, but we don't wanna stop right now. So it is a fun parade to do.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of fun, and I think, again, this sort of dovetails into also the personal testimonial stories, the more we know about each other, whatever. There's a lot of good stories in this room, and a lot of richness in our lives, so to share some of that can be very interesting. Okay, let's go on. Did I hear my name?
Yep.
Your husband.
Betsy?
Oh, I was just telling.
She's telling me to go forward. Yeah. No, it's okay. Activities. Book club was suggested, bridge, concert series, outdoor game activities, golf outings, and charitable fundraising dinners. Any of those ideas sound great, and the one thing we want in all of this is to get everybody, there's a place for everyone to do something in this class. So if there's something you really like, you want to plan an outdoor golf outing for the class, or talk about a charitable fundraising dinner, get a little team together to do that, there's plenty of room for that. But these are some of the things that were suggested. Venues, as you know, the size of our class has kept us now from going into a lot of individual homes because we've outgrown them. But Inverness, was suggested an Inverness location. They have some kind of a community room, party room, etc. And did I get ahead?
No.
Okay. Library was suggested. The Oaks. Someone was going to check on if they had a facility. I know Montreux is a beautiful facility. We've been in that facility for parties, and I don't know. We know, of course, some members of our church that live there. We might be able to look into that. Hyde Park, as you all know, that's probably up by Tulsa Hills, that addition in there. I personally don't know, but we can follow up on some of these. But if you see or think or attend a venue somewhere and you know of a place where we could rent and or get a facility, that would be very helpful. So we'd like to locate some more of those. Let's not overlook the fact also that we do have the Family Life Centers. It was suggested, and that is under comments. Oops, nope. There isn't one on comment. Okay. There we go. Oh, thank you. Daytime events for those who don't drive. Having a luncheon somewhere, meeting in a restaurant. I know Los Cabos, we've been to their room, done a Mexican dinner there with the group when we went over to the planetarium in James. So anything like that where we can get together, but some suggestions have been to have some of these things in the daytime, that people would want to attend, like a lunch at 1 or something like that. Homes of members, people liked going to the homes of members, but obviously it limits big parties, but still that's where those smaller dinners came in, was going into people's homes. It was comfortable for everybody and got to know people. Any activity that we can do that helps us know newer members. That's important. And Meredith was just talking out there, we were getting our coffee, she's fixing coffee in there, we were talking about it. There's some casual things that we can do during the daytime and et cetera that are just, get to know each other better, have lunch, those kinds of things. Renew the use of name tags. That was mentioned. And actually, in that box over there, I looked. Our name tags that we printed up before are over there. Now, I'm not saying 100%, I didn't alphabetize and go through them yet. But we can start the name tag situation again, try to organize that. And that helps a lot, because in this class, even couples don't always sit together. It took Hank and I a long time when we first came here to figure out that Ed Crockett wasn't married to somebody else. Because nobody sat together. So anyway, yes.
I've been in charge of name tags for the Tulsa Newcomers Club for a couple of years. And if you get two name tags, those metal, attached things, and you keep one in your car and keep one here, you always have your name tag. If you don't, you order another one. And if there's somebody in charge of that project, it's not really that hard to do.
Would you volunteer?
Well, it seems like you know how to do it, so.
Did Treva buy them for the class?
I know.
I would use tribute.
Okay, thank you, Becky. That's called recruiting. Name tag. Okay, and it, over and over it's said, challengers just really enjoy social times and being together. I think fellowship is a huge part of this class. Everybody enjoys being together. Okay. Service at HAC. I couldn't even begin to make a list long enough of the things people in this class have done at church over the years. But from some of the easier things, such as making coffee, to serving as an elder, serving on MLT, that's a much bigger commitment, obviously, meetings and so forth. But all the things, choir, bells, being part of the music program, all the things that everybody does to help here at the church. This class, the church has been very blessed. This class is the most generous group of people I've ever seen to volunteer, and they really step up. So these are just some of the ones that were mentioned. Feel free to ask any questions about any of these. If you're new and you want to become a part of something, you know, deacon usually is a lot of times where people start. They serve at the services, serve communion as deacons. We do have a couple things I want to explain that maybe are kind of off our radar a little bit. A bereavement team, and that bereavement team hosts receptions after memorial services. Cookie donations, set up, and I'll go on down, it's a long list. But set up and clean up after cookie receptions. One thing that also that we organized here and the Challengers did for the Challenger class, I'm sure they do it for anyone, but was a funeral team. And for years now, a number of years now, the employees of the mortuary, the funeral home, have not been doing the ushering, have not been doing the registration and greeting and so forth, but a team of Challengers have done that. I have had friends that I know out in the community, and I bet most of you have too that are on those teams, say how nice it is to come to Harvard Avenue when there's a funeral and they're greeted by a member of our church and you welcome them and say hello. You know, it's more personal. So if you want to be a part of that, that's another team.
Kelly?
Yes.
Real quick, we calculated that service saves the family about $2,500.
Yeah. So it's a nice thing, a nice gift to the family. And I just like the personal touch of it all too. It just feels much warmer to have your friends than it does to have employees that don't know you. Yes.
Where are these signups?
Well, I'll tell
I
you.
don't know about all these things.
Right, and same thing with the, some comments were made, the same thing with all of the, like, yoga and so forth at the church. People don't know the schedules. There's not a brochure that tells you what's going on and when and so forth. I'm going to visit with Christy or someone in the office and see if they can kind of address some of those issues. And these things that are on here would be wonderful to list for people to be able to know, you know, who to contact. For instance, Next Man Up, the bottom one, I have one. Next Man Up, Mark Southard started that, I believe. So, you know, unless you know Mark, you wouldn't, you know he's heading it up, you wouldn't know what to do. And that's a group of men that meet real early in the morning. And, well, one of the things they do is go to some of the schools here in town and greet young people as they get to school in the morning. You know, just a line and a high five thing, you know, cheer them on as they come to school. And they've gone out and helped people who need elderly people, to use that term lightly, elderly people that needed help with things at their home. They couldn't get I'm sure it's no one they're talking about, you know. But they did some things like, different things like that. So, I'm gonna take a quick detour here and tell you, my mom and dad were at Burgundy Place for 8 years, and my brother had passed away, so I was the only child. And I went over to talk to mom and dad, and we had a great relationship, and they so appreciated me and everything. So, I mean, it was a wonderful relationship. But I sat down with them to talk about something, a decision we had to make. And I said, well, you know, as people get elderly, these are the things we have to deal with. They were 88, and my dad looked me in the eye and he said, your mother and I are not elderly. And I said, Dad, if you and mother are not elderly at 88, when do you go? I have no appreciation for that term. It kind of, me too, when I get it, so I get it. Okay, so those are some of the things, but that's a good idea that we can make a list, and if Christy doesn't, you know, if the office doesn't want to do it, they should though, because this should be available to everybody, not just our class. But anyway, I'll mark down the list. Any questions about any of those? And I'm sure I missed some, because there's plenty to do here in the church, that's for sure. Service in the community. We have teams of challengers, and notice I said teams of challengers that serve as right now. John 3:16, and the class has been doing that for a long time. We serve dinner once a month, and a team of usually 8, as I remember anyway, 4 couples or 8 people, period, would all go down, serve dinner, and then the tradition was you go to dinner together afterwards. So it was always kind of a fun social night as well as a service night. John 3:16, we have a team of men that serve at Iron Gate, and is that still once a month? Okay, once a month, and they serve lunch in Iron Gate. We have day center, that should say, for the homeless, and I know some of the ladies in our class, I don't know if you're back yet, not yet volunteering, but they volunteered for working at the day center for the homeless, and then we've had teams go to the food bank and work at the food bank. These were some of the suggestions that were mentioned as it relates to places people suggested to volunteer. Emergency infant services, a Lenten project, which we've done some of those in the past during the Lent season. Little Lighthouse was mentioned. Reading Partners was mentioned. That's not so much a team probably thing as it is one person with a 3rd grader type thing. Connect with the disabled in the community was a suggestion. Collegiate Hall Charter School, I did not know what that was and looked it up, and it's a charter school here in Tulsa for children that are living in difficult situations. It's a good support school, that kind of thing. Hospice volunteers, Next Man Up, and residents. We're going to talk about this here in just a second with our teams for 2022, and to provide ways to organize that a little better so we can have some volunteer teams. I'm happy to tell you that speakers have been scheduled, and we have speakers scheduled now through February the 13th. So we've got a good calendar going for the year, and that will help the new team to get started because the new team will take over February 1. We don't transition until then because during the holidays it's just too crazy, but we're trying to definitely ease this so it's a good, smooth transition. A couple of business things, a financial report. As you know, we take up that $50 a year from our class members. We did not do that in 2021. We did not do that in 2021 until, so we didn't have the same treasury that we had last normally. At the end of the year, we're going to end up with $1,800 in our treasury. So that will be our balance to start the new year. We will collect annual dues of $50 a person starting in January, so we will rebuild the treasury. And this year, you saw that in the newsletter yesterday, because we didn't have the donations, dues, we suspended in 21. We didn't have a treasury to donate to EIS this year, Emergency Infant Services, like we usually do. So we will be taking up those donations in class on December 5th and December 12th. And then we will give that to Emergency Infant Services. And we will also collect our blankets this year like we did before, and that'll be December 5th and 12th as well for the Day Center for the Homeless. So we'll put all that out there. After Thanksgiving, we'll have, that next Sunday to promote it. And you'll get it in the newsletter and so forth to remind you that if you're out and about and want to buy your blanket, we are going to collect blankets this year. Okay, looking forward to 2022. The leadership team has met with Kay Thompson, and she has generously volunteered to be the team leader for the Challenger leadership team. I can tell you, Kay has been at First Christian. She was the, I don't know if president or what they call it, leader of the team at First Christian Sunday School when they had 120 members. So this isn't her first rodeo. She's also been on the board of directors for the Oklahoma Disciples Foundation. So she's had experience in organizations. She's very organized, and we're thrilled to have her. We're really thrilled. The leadership team was very excited that Kay would do this for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We will have some teams also organized within that team, and we will have an education team that plans topics and speakers for presentation and discussion. They will be the ones that will organize the calendar. That team is the ones you want to talk to, as well as Kay, and say, I'd like to prepare a lesson on Mormonism. Can I get on the calendar? I'd like to do this. Can I have a speaker, such and such? And the team makes the decision. They research it a little bit and can look into it, and so that will be the education team. Out of the people, Kay's, we will be sending out her, bless your heart, her email and her phone number. You can text her, and if you want to sign up on one of these teams, she would like for you to text her or email her, and we'll put her email and her text out so that everybody has it, but she's in the church directory, I can tell you right now, that's online. And if you want to be on the education team, send her the information. Once that team is formed, Kay will pick a leader for that team. So there'll be a team leader on each one of these individual teams. The social team, same thing. They plan social events for challengers to be together, and let Kay know if you'd like to serve on that team. Yeah, I've got it up, right?
No, keep going.
Oh, I forgot you did put those, I thought you put those on there, okay. So, the social team, yes, okay. Social team plans the social events for challengers to be together, we all know that, so if you want to serve on that team and everything, just, let Kay know. There'll be a sunshine team, and this, by the way, let me back up. Tammy has done the social team this last year. Where's Tammy? There's somewhere. Thank you, Tammy, very much for your It takes a lot of time to plan all these, with the caterer, all the different things that you have to pull together to do these, so we really appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy. And we have a sunshine team who prepares meals for challengers during times of illness, and we also try to plan and prepare a family meal at the death of the challenger's loved one. So if it's a member of your family, or certainly anyone in the challengers, we always provide a family meal, and they organize that, serve, and so forth. Pat Maxwell did this last year. She's done a great job. I don't see Pat this morning, but we want to thank her. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. We've had this in the past, but it's kind of gotten neglected for a while due to COVID, etc. But we have a connection team, and the connection team identifies visitors, gives the visitor a card to fill out, sends a card or note to the visitors, sends cards or notes on behalf of the challengers. We have a challenger printed note card. Sends cards or notes to those on the cares and concerns list each week, and sends the birthday cards. I kind of laugh when I say those birthday cards. I don't know how many want to still receive those. But we do have a birthday list of birthday cards. So that's a team that you can volunteer on. Then this is a new team that we're going to organize. It's called the Volunteer Team. And we want to try to organize challenger teams to volunteer. And it's obvious that was one of the things that was mentioned in the survey was people want to volunteer, they like to do it together, like a team. And then you can go to lunch, or you can, go to dinner, whatever. It's fellowship as well as it is service. So we're gonna have a team leader to organize some teams, and obviously they can work with this list that came off the survey, residents, different ones that we'd like to start a team, and create a volunteer calendar. I would encourage everybody in this class to find a spot on a team. We need you, and you'll just have such a good time being with other challengers, and it gets us together and so forth. It keeps the class going, it keeps the class running, and it's a huge help to the team leader to have participation. So please join in and sign up and send Kay a note about where you would like to serve and to be a part of the challengers. I've covered a lot of material. Any questions from anybody?
Where are the sign-up sheets?
There you go. There you go. We will definitely have those, and we'll send you out her, you can look it up actually in the directory. Her phone number to text her, Kay, her phone number or her email, and shoot her an email or a text and tell her you'd like to be on this team or that team, etc. And let's hope then through the next month we get those teams filled up. That's our goal through the month of December. Yes, Peggy.
Can you send those on your website or something, different teams on the website, so
Yes.
we weren't sitting here taking notes right now?
Yes. This team list.
Yeah, like.
This team list.
Like the volunteer team does this and this and this.
What they do and everything. Why don't I include it in the newsletter, the chat next week?
Yeah.
That'd be good?
Yeah.
And along with that, then, everybody can contact Kay and so forth, and we can go from there. Great. It's always gratifying to be on a team. It is. And then you get to know members of your class better and everything. It's just fun, I think. Most of it's a lot of fun, so. Well, I think we've kind of covered everything for this morning. I was looking at the clock. We've got time for coffee and a little break, I guess. But I want to, yes, Gia.
I just want to thank you for keeping us all informed this year when we've been disconnected with the Challenger Chat. I think that's really important.